CityCast listeners dig us because our vibe is more conversation and less interview. We know and love talking about DC to help you get the most out of it. Well, Eagle Bank is no different. Their friendly personnel know all about personal banking and are ready to help you maximize your finances. And business owners enjoy tailored solutions from dedicated bankers who can help navigate complex business challenges, all with the friendly Eagle Bank vibe. Visit them today at eaglebankcorp.com.
Today on CityCast DC, did you, like me, spend a bunch of money on craft supplies in the early parts of the pandemic that you never really learned how to use? Whether you're an aspiring crafter or a seasoned pro, Madeleine Odendahl, founder of Mary Pin, the store and community space for crafts, says DC is a great place to get your craft on. Today's Wednesday, June 26th. I'm Bridget Todd, and here's what DC is talking about. So Madeleine, you've opened this new store, Mary Pin, which I understand is all about crafting. So I want to take a little bit of a step back. For folks who might not know, what does crafting mean to you? Like, how do you personally define it?
What is crafting? Ooh. So we like to think of crafting as that space between a hobby and an art. When you're really making something just for the joy of it, just because it's fun, maybe not something that you're good at. Definitely, probably not something you're going to sell, but something that brings you joy and uses your hands. I think we live in a very digitized world, and there's so much research that talks about how important it is to be physical, working with your hands. There's all those studies about how if you learn a new skill every decade, it creates all those new brain pathways. And yeah, that's what crafting is. Usually with fun art supplies.
I'm not even really, I wouldn't call myself a crafter, but I am someone that can spend a lot of money on markers and yarn and needles just because I like the way it looks and then maybe never actually do the thing.
You're still a crafter. You like the materials.
So how is this something that you got into?
So I have actually been a crafter my entire life. I consider it a generational gift. My great-grandmother was a crocheter and a knitter. My grandmother was a sewer, and my mother is a collector of ribbons and fabric. When I was little, she would take me to like fabric warehouses and I would collect all the samples. I have been knitting since I was 6 years old, on and off. It's something that I always come back to. And all those funny t-shirts or bags that are like, I knit that so that I don't kill people. I feel that very strongly. I knit so that I can be kind to other people in the world. I get all of my tension out over some 12-inch steel knitting needles passed down from my grandmother. So yeah, I've been doing it my whole life. It's always been a way of expression for me. Over the past decade or so, I've gotten into weaving. I've sewn some of my own clothing. I'm big now on like embroidery and mending clothing, finding ways to reuse things. And I am just kind of like a general crafter. Like I make weird things for my home. I love throwing parties because I get to create weird random things. My son had a Metro-themed birthday party last year, and I made him like his own Metro stop out of cardboard. So there's really nothing that I can't, like if I see something and I want it and I don't want to pay a lot of money for it, I will create it myself with spray paint and cardboard.
Well, crafting, it can intersect so many things. Clothing, entertainment, parties. We were talking to our superstar newsletter editor, Kayla, and Kayla was like, oh, I'm a crafter. Pretty much every sweater you've ever seen me wear, I actually have made myself. And our jaws dropped because I think of her as like a very stylish person. And I'm like, oh my God, you made all of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's very accessible. And usually it can be done with, materials. Thrift stores are amazing places for crafters. Most of my like yarn and fabric right now comes from thrift stores. And that's a huge part of Mary Pin and our mission, as well as upcycling things, especially because that makes it more affordable. So I think it's a very accessible art form. And with this day and age, is all about expression. How can you show your personality through what you're wearing, through your house? I have a dino bathroom. It is not for my 4-year-old. It is for me. I love dinosaurs. And I saw this dinosaur planter in some very trendy magazine. And it was like $300 ceramic dinosaur planter. And I was like, well, I'm not going to spend $300 on a planter. I will go to the thrift store, spend $2.99 on a plastic triceratops, cut out the top, spray paint it green, and fill it with a plant. Done.
Madeleine, you've got to invite me to your next party because I got to see this dino room. I want to see the Metro themes. I want to experience all of it. So Mary Pin is like a craft store here in D.C. I'm curious, are there things that make the crafting scene in D.C. different than the crafting scene other places?
Oh, I think so. I think one of the reasons why I love DC is that everyone is a nerd, and it is a thing to be celebrated. Everyone has a hill they would die on. Sometimes it's literally the hill, but everybody has a thing that they love. And so I think one of the things that makes crafting in DC special is that people are very passionate about it, and it is often very different from what they do in their day job. Kayla being a good example. I'm the deputy director of a small nonprofit that does economic development, small business development, but most nights you can find me with a hot glue gun or yarn in my hands. And so I think there's something about like a person is a universe that crafting really brings out in people. And so Mary Pin was kind of born out of that, out of this, especially during the pandemic. I think people really needed a way to be creative while stuck inside. So people explored things that they might not have explored previously. And so here we are. One of my favorite things is during the 2016 election, when there were all the swamp allegations and, there was a whole like DC is more than a swamp, and all of the art and murals and installations that came out of that movement, that kind of political edge to all the posters for the Women's March. Like there are people in this city who really love to express themselves through art and craft. And they might not call themselves a crafter, but they are. Everybody's a little bit of a crafter.
Everyone's got that crafter spirit in them somewhere.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah, I mean, the Metro-themed crafted party is like a great example of like, I think a very unique DC craft vibe where it's something super local, a little nerdy, and I made it because I wanted to.
Yes. My son was like, I want a Metro in our backyard. And I was like, I have no idea how to do that. I will figure it out, and we will use cardboard and spray paint to do it.
Hey DC, let's talk trees. We all know planting trees is one of the best ways to take care of our environment, our community, and our health. They combat climate change, cool our city, clean our air and water, improve our physical and mental health, bring our communities together. I mean, the list goes on and on. But what if we don't have any inhabitable space for trees? What if, in order to save our trees, we first need to save the soil in which those trees are planted? KC Trees is a local nonprofit working to conserve DC's green spaces and nearby nature that makes our city so great to live in. Visit kctrees.org to learn more about how to protect our green spaces and natural areas. Experience a live performance with premium seating at Warner Theater or the Fillmore Silver Spring. Live Nation Premium amenities totally change the concert experience with things like complimentary parking and private entry. Members also have access to in-seat wait service and exclusive food and beverage menus. Trust me, there is no better way to experience a live performance of a band, comedian, or even podcaster you love. Premium members get access and offerings before doors open to the VIP speakeasy-style 1924 lounge at Warner Theater and Vertigo Lounge at the Fillmore. Visit premium.livenation.com for more information or contact Mary Claire Griffin at maryclairegriffin@livenation.com or at 202-626-8255. So what makes Mary Pin unique?
Well, there is literally nothing like Mary Pin right now. So Mary Pin is not just a retail store, it's a cafe and community space. So we have a really large mix of products for hobby crafters, a mix of like high-end, affordable, upcycle products, We've got crafting workshops and experiences. And I think the thing that really makes us unique is snacks and beverages to bring people together. So Mary Pin became a thing. My business partners, Megan and Michelle and I, were all out at a bar and we're having a lovely conversation and said, you know what would really make this perfect? If we could pull out our crafts. But it's just not quite socially acceptable to pull out your knitting at a bar. And Megan, one of my business partners, she makes these incredible miniatures and candles, and it's messy. And she has a lot of little finicky pieces. And so it's just not conducive to taking that out into the world. But there are lots of people who do that. And so we said, wouldn't that be fun if there was a place where you could have a cup of coffee or have a fun cocktail while you were with your friends and making something and, you know, having that experience. And then we kind of said that out loud. And then all of a sudden we kept just texting each other and being like, okay, this might actually be this might be a good idea. This might work. And here we are 18 months later.
What's the kind of vibe that you're hoping to curate in the space? Like when I walk in, is it cozy? Is it like a bunch of my kooky aunts all getting together? Like what could I expect?
Probably some kooky aunt vibes. So we want the space to be bright. We hope you feel inspired. We hope you feel welcome. We're very aware that we are 3 white women in a city where should not be the majority. We have not been the majority. And so it's really important to us that this space belongs to our community. We are really dedicated to showcasing particularly queer crafters and crafters of color, ensuring that while, you know, we're the 3 business partners, but we're really passing the mic. So we hope it's a space where people feel welcome, where people feel safe, psychologically, where they can try something new, where they can feel happy. Mary Pin is Old English colloquial word that means to be happy or in good spirits. And that's what we want you to feel when you walk into Mary Pin.
So if you're someone who is totally new to crafting, are the workshops okay to just drop into?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So all of our workshops will say on our website if it's for beginners or like if a little bit of knowledge is helpful. But most of the time, even if you have prior knowledge, while some skills are probably transferable, there's just so many things out there. Like I would consider myself a pretty advanced knitter and weaver, but if you put a punch needle thingy in my hand, I would not know what to do. And so I think we want to make sure that we are offering a pretty wide range of classes and for different ages. We've had a lot of requests for like grandmothers who want to bring their grandchildren with them to learn something new. So like we want to create those opportunities for cross-generational, cross-skill level classes as well.
If you are listening and during the worst parts of the pandemic, you bought a bunch of craft stuff, knitting needles, whatever, you're going to teach yourself how to cross-stitch, and then you never touched it, like I did, it's just collecting dust under your bed. Would a workshop be a good place to maybe dust off that stuff and be like, I'm actually gonna learn how to use this now?
Absolutely. And if you're like, I did try it, it wasn't for me, that was not my cup of tea, you can also bring it to Mary Pin and donate it and give it to someone who might use it. So we have an entire creative reuse and upcycling. So people can bring their stuff, whether it's like still in the box or you kind of made half of it and now you're like, I don't know what to do with this. You can bring it to us and we'll give you a discount to go shop in the store. And then we'll use that. We have a little free craft library in the upstairs section of the store where people can come, try something new. So yeah, you can dust that off or clean out your house.
How would you say the craft community in DC typically comes together?
Well, I think it's a little bit different post-pandemic than pre-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, there were lots more classes. There were lots of like crafting nights at breweries. And you're seeing a little bit more of that now. But I know for me and for my friends, a lot of our crafting has been isolated. It's become a thing we do at home. And I think we lose a lot of community that way. And particularly skills. Crafting has not always been something that's been well documented. And so I think while people are writing more books and we're getting more how-tos and things, you know, the internet and craft TikTok is a thing. So there are lots of information going out into the world, but I think crafting is something that really can create the most unique kind of connection between people. And so I think we're hoping that Mary Penn can be a space where people can come back together a little bit more often.
Well, to that end, what do you see as the future of crafting in DC?
Well, I mean, I hope the future is that Mary Penn is successful, that it's a space that belongs to the community, that it's full all the time with people trying new things. And I think there's a lot of conversation about we're in the digital dark ages. So like no one's going to know if the internet ever collapsed. No one would know what our lives were like right now because everything is in the cloud. Crafts are not in the cloud. And so I would hope that, Mary Penn and the experiences and the crafty thingies that we're creating in this space, that they are healing and happy. Life's kind of hard right now. So we want Mary Penn to be a happy, healing space.
Crafting is forever.
Yes, crafting is forever. Absolutely.
Madeleine, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
That's all for today here on CityCast DC. If you enjoyed the show, why not share it with your craftiest friend? You can rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with even more news from around the city. Talk to you then.